Hi, YouTube and Instagram. And I'm eventually start putting it on. I forgot all about Facebook, but how y'all doing today? I actually wanted to do a commentary, my perspective on Moesha from when I was a kid versus now. So, everybody knows Moesha, or you remember Moesha if you're a millennial like me, or Generation X. You know that if you're in your 30s or 40s, you know what, or should know Moesha, aka Brandy. She was a high school girl that had a stepmom that she didn't like. And I wanted to get into some of her behaviors. And I could honestly say, as a kid, I thought she was all that in a bag of chips. But as an adult, and I'm a parent myself, Brandy had some social emotional issues, and she was looking for love. Some people say things like, oh, she was just a normal teenager. Like, no. Anytime somebody is cutting class to be with a boy, they're being rebellious, it's always a reason. And it's very interesting that in Moesha, when they found marijuana in Miles's room, they took him to therapy, but nobody ever thought to take Moesha to therapy. And it's what I call child forgotten syndrome. In a lot of families, black and white, there's a lot of pressure on the firstborn child. I'm an only child, so a lot of the times being the only child is a lot of pressure too, because you're the only child. So one thing that only children and firstborn children have in common is we're expected to be perfect. We're expected to have it all together. We're expected to be the golden child of the family. Oftentimes, like, I had a cousin in my family, and she was like, oh, your uncle and another cousin said I was the golden child, out of sarcasm. And I'm like, just was hating on my father and stuff. And I'm like, my father was always there for family. He eventually cut them off, and I see why, because it's like, who wants to go through that? But all in all, Moesha had issues. Her mom passed away, and she was looking for that love, and her and Dee didn't have the best relationship. Dee didn't know a lot what was going on, and it was very disappointing. Me personally, I had boys ask me to cut, and I never did, because I felt like whatever we gonna do is gonna be done in the afternoon. And when I got to 11th and 12th grade, I was able to leave at 1 o'clock. So I'm like, where are we going that's earlier than that? So for me, I never found a need to cut, not just because I went to a very small private school, but what the fuck we cutting for? Also, boys who cut or didn't go to school or take school seriously, they was dumb. So I was always the chick in high school, like, a lot of boys liked me, but I didn't like nobody. Like, I didn't, I was afraid to have sex because I watched my friends cry over sex. And I was like, damn, that's what dick do? Like, it make you cry. It makes you, I wasn't ready for that, And then also, the ones that wasn't crying, their reputations were messed up because of it. So it's like, I had friends who literally had one partner, and somehow or another somebody in the school would find out, especially because it was very small, and I would always be the one to have to defend them. And I'm like, I don't want to be going through that. Like, I give a boy some, and now my reputation is messed up. Now it's, no. So I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for the emotions behind it. I just wasn't ready, So I didn't do anything till I was 18. And that's what Moesha also pushed that too. She didn't do anything until college, Hakeem, which is bleh, they actually dated, I think it was just, she was lonely, he grew on her. But overall, when I was watching Moesha, I always thought Frank was like an asshole father. He actually was a decent dad. He wanted the best for her, and they didn't have the best relationship, but he wanted her to go to college. He, was gonna give her a car. She ain't want it. Like, girl, it was a Saturn, because he worked at a dealership. So she didn't want it. So I'm like, okay. But they messed up his character, and it was messed up that he lied to the family, and so his nephew was his son. And once her little brother came on the show, Ray J, that's when the ratings went down. Kim had left and it wasn't funny anymore. So that was the downfall of Moesha. And rumor had it that Moesha, that Brandy and Countess Vaughn weren't getting along. That behind the scenes they used to fight all the time. And so that was unfortunate. And it wasn't just Kim who left. A lot of people, the coach had left. People that were there for like one episode left. Ogilvy started on Moesha. He actually played Frank's fraternity. I don't know if y'all remember the episode of fraternity brother. And to get off punishment, Moesha had to go take the boy to his prom, that was his frat brother's son, and the frat brother was Ogilvy. So that's when we first see him, and also the episode with Kim and Nikki, they get to, I guess that was like orientation, or like a basically introducing the professors and stuff. Ogilvy is there for Black Studies. So that's when we first, see him. And, I guess like introducing the Parkers. But, they weren't there for Moesha. They weren't there for her emotionally. They weren't there for her, spiritually. There's no episodes of them going to church except for one. You never talk about Moesha praying or any of that. So when you don't have any of that guidance, you're going to seek it elsewhere. It's just natural. But Moesha, it was a cry for help. Her mom died. Nobody ever, her father never sat her down and talked to her about how she felt. There's an episode where Dee's trying to get rid of her mom's furniture without even asking her first. That was dead wrong. Like, that's just wrong. Understandable, you're the new wife and that's your house too, but you don't do no stuff like that. Like, Dee was just, as an adult watching it, and I have my own kid, and, I've dated a man with children, I would never do something like that. Like, leave the furniture alone, especially if their mom passed away. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. 10 years, maybe. And even then, it's very sentimental to them. That's their mom. Like, so how dare you try to change. It's like you trying to destroy her memory. Like Moesha said, like, you just trying to get rid of my mom. And it's like you only been married to him for a year, 2 years, and you already trying to move my mom's stuff around. You don't do that, And she's like, this is my house too. It's like, why are you being selfish? Whose feelings is more important, the child or you? Think about the kid first. She about to go to college. Just wait about 2 more years till her, So it's just a lot of things that Dee did that wasn't right. Then when she found her birth control pill, she was judgmental instead of asking. Towards the end of the conversation, she's like, oh, you can come to me about anything. But she judged Moesha. She judged her. It was a very strange relationship. And it's real too, because a lot of people don't get along with their stepmom. And it's sad. And then Frank, he had a right. Because me personally, you left the country and all that, and you cut in class and stuff like that, you're not going to no slumber party. There was a scene where she went to the slumber party and Usher was there. And so what does it look like? You're coming down the steps. You wasn't supposed to be there. You should have picked up the phone and said, Dad, this boy's here. I'm about to come home. Come get me. Be honest in the situation. we've all been in situations where we wasn't supposed to be in high school. It's just a part of growing up. Your job, you're supposed to call and say, I'm on my way, because you know your parents don't want you in that scenario. Whether if it's drugs going on, whether if it's drinking, whether if it's smoking, you get yourself out of Dodge so you don't get in trouble, you know. And then she leaves the house. He didn't kick her out. She leaves and go to Andell. Andell was wrong for keeping her for 5 months. As an adult, you should have encouraged her to stay home. But you know they gotta put stuff in there to make it dramatic, and you know. But yes, I could truly say that Frank was a good father up until we found out he lied, and that was harsh. And then he was upset that Dorian was trying to find out who his mom was. You know, we saw a lot of hypocrisy. We saw a lot of, but at the end of the day, parents were only human, and we just taking it day by day, you know. But yeah, Moesha was a little rebellious thing. You know, she wasn't having sex, but she left home. She dated her teacher. I forgot all about that because I rewatched it on Netflix. I'm like, what? Now, I had a crush on my teacher too, but I never was on some, oh yeah, no. It's like I had my crush and I moved on. But yeah, she was bold for that one. And then her parents let her go with him. Like, even Dee was like, I trusted him with the students, and now he wants to date Moesha. You know, that's not cool. You know, that was not cool. I don't know why they threw that in there, but that was not cool. It doesn't matter. Your student could be married with children 20 years later. You just still don't do that. It's just weird. Just like, as a rapper, The Game, he married his 5th grade teacher. That is weird. But yeah, that's my perspective on Moesha from when I was a kid versus now. I used to think Frank was such a horrible dad, but he wasn't. He was more lenient than what I would have been. I have a 14-year-old. If he goes to Mexico, or if he goes anywhere where he said where he's not, any privileges is not going down. No. Don't even ask me to go to a slumber party. You kidding me? She lucky I was not allowed to go to no slumber parties at all. So the fact that she was allowed, that shows leniency. You know, he was trying to trust her. And I didn't lie to my parents. I told them exactly where I was going to be. I was a goody two-shoe. You know, I was not cutting class. I was not sneaking out. I didn't do none of that for no boy. No. I wasn't, because at the end of the day, I felt like if you cut in school, you stupid. And I remember telling boys that, and I had opportunities. I'm like, ew, you failing classes? I don't want to talk to you. Like, no, you got to get to my level. Even back then, as a child, I was saying that to dudes. You got to get on my level, bro. Nah. You know. But, yeah, those are my thoughts. Moesha will always be my favorite show. But definitely, I get, you know, when you watch it as a kid versus an adult, you get a whole new perspective.